Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you on a beautiful Wednesday, February. Went straight from winter to spring. It's feeling good outside. I was in D.C. last week and had a great time at meeting with the nation's governors and had some great meetings with the Trump administration, some of his cabinet secretaries. Went to the White House and the president was very gracious and gave us a tour, and I got to see the Lincoln bedroom for the first time, which was amazing as an American. They left it exactly like President Lincoln when he was there, so quite amazing. But had a chance to talk with the cabinet about educational issues, and we brought up apprenticeship, internship programs, things that we're talking about here in Oklahoma. Really excited about some of the bills that our legislature is working on to make this possible this year. In the state of the state, we were talking about, let's start in Oklahoma, 250 internship programs, apprenticeship programs this year. And a great case in point, two schools that already do that, Cristo Rey and Santa Fe South are two great charter schools here in Oklahoma City metro area that I've visited before, and their kids will go to school 4 days a week, and then they'll go work at a company and get real world experience 1 day a week. So I love that model as kids are starting to get acclimated to what's possible and all the different jobs that are out there. So I think that's really, really important for our young people to start determining what they want to do when they grow up, so to speak. Permitting reform is always a big topic nationally, and I know it's something that our oil and gas companies, our electricity generation companies, our pipeline companies, we're all dealing with new transmission lines. Just nationally, it's a big topic about how do we get projects done quicker in the United States, and how do we let that innovation work. And I think Republicans and Democrats all can agree that we need to cut through the bureaucracy. Projects should not take longer to get permitted than they do to actually build. And you're seeing that happen in other states. And I just applaud the Trump administration. That's a main focus of theirs, is getting through some of the bureaucracy to get dollars on target quicker, because it takes longer in the U.S. To permit projects than it does anywhere else in the world. So we're leading the way in Oklahoma with some of our executive orders. And I'm just encouraging the companies to let me know when they feel like Oklahoma, if there's any bureaucracy in Oklahoma that doesn't make sense, that's redundant, we want to remove that. So with that, let me just open it up to questions. What's on your mind today? Yes, sir. We've got some microphones going around too, right?
Thank you, sir. What's your reaction to the SCOTUS decision on the Glossop case?
There were two court cases, two jury trials. Both convicted Glossop of first-degree murder and sentenced him to death. And the Attorney General has questioned that. The family, I know there's a guy that was brutally murdered, and his family deserves justice. And so we'll let the court system play it out. I just if the Attorney General thinks the guy's innocent, or guilty, or whatever he's saying, I hope he re-prosecutes the case. I guess it's back in the court system, but it's hard to find witnesses and things from 25 years ago, and so really interested. I feel bad for the victims' families, and as I've gone through this process as governor a few times, that's the thing that I hear most from the victims is their grandchildren, their children, they're all having to deal with this over and over, and they're wanting closure for their family as well. Their names get dragged through the mud, and so that's the the disappointing thing I think about the victim's family here. But if the Attorney General thinks he's innocent, I think he needs to defend that or whatever he's saying on that case. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on the third trial.
I wanted to get your response. So we've had like a week of rumors swirling at Team Air Force Base, which we've heard from people. One of the first seeds, they're looking for waste right nationally with Musk and all that, looking for waste and fraud. And then there's rumors of Tinker employees, probationary employees that are gonna get fired, possibly hundreds. That's the rumor swirling. We reached out to the union, today, and they're frustrated because they're not hearing from their leaders. They've reached out to DC, they've reached out here. They're not hearing anything back from anybody confirming whether or not people are getting fired or what comes next for them. Can I get your response to that in general?
Yeah, first off, I mean, we've talked to our federal delegation. We've tried to figure out and run these rumors down. As far as we know at this point, they're just rumors. We haven't confirmed any of that. I think that's the message that our federal delegation has let us know here locally. So again, I don't know what to say. We think it's a rumor, but at the same time, if there is a layoff, we're going to work with our Commerce Department. We're going to set up job fairs. We're going to help those people get retrained. We're going to do everything we can to get them integrated, find new jobs. We have very low unemployment in Oklahoma. We've got companies moving here. So, I think they're going to be fine. At the end of the day, there's going to be some shrinking of the federal government. I think Oklahomans support that as a general rule. We are spending $2 trillion over our income at the federal level, and that is unsustainable long term. Our interest only costs now are $1 trillion, which is more than our defense budget. And we've got to tighten our belt a little bit nationally. And I think that's what you're seeing. And then you're seeing a lot of people, clamor around to say, cut everywhere else except for our job. But here's the deal. In corporate America, there's people that are underperformers that are going to get turned over or laid off, and they're going to have to reinvent themselves and go find a different job. That happens. And that's part of life. But as a state, we're going to do everything we can to help those guys, if that does happen, or ladies, find new employment here in Oklahoma. That's the other reason it's so important that we're the most business-friendly state in the country. And then there's companies going to be competing for those people to come work for them. They should have great skill sets. The aerospace industry is a great industry in Oklahoma, and that's why I'm just so focused on continuing to make Oklahoma business-friendly. Yes.
So Representative Andy Fugate filed a lawsuit last week against your executive order eliminating work from home, claiming that it's the legislature's job to make this call. Do you think you have enough legal standing to win this case?
Yeah. What was his name again? It's
Andy Fugate.
Andy Fugate. I'm sure it's just typical big spin Democrat lawmaker trying to. I really don't know what to say. I think most Oklahomans agree with me that people are more productive in the office, and most people work in the office right now. I just want to be clear. For a long time, we've had our state has been rolling and rocking and rolling, and we've been working hard. And the few people that were refusing to come back into the office, I said, hey, enough is enough. We're going to make sure everybody comes back in. But when these people, I don't even know why he would think that's a better option to work from home. But I'm going to stand with the taxpayers, and I think people are more productive in the office.
He essentially is saying that it's the legislature's job to, he's saying that you don't have the powers that you did when you initially had the work from home executive order during COVID. Says there's no public health crisis anymore. So he's saying that the legislature could do the same thing, but it's up to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I don't think most Oklahomans even know what this guy's name is. They didn't elect him. They didn't vote for him. Oklahomans voted for me. They certainly want the governor to run the state government, not what's his name, Fugate. They don't want Fugate to determine where people are going to work in the state. And I can defend that all day long. So look forward to beating him in court. That's a terrible argument that he's making.
Governor, earlier this week, you posted on social media about sports betting. I wanted to ask you again, has anything changed in your stance? There's some new bills here in the Capitol too. One of them even talks about the Oklahoma City Thunder being involved. So I just wanted to ask you again, it's been a few years since this conversation's been going on. So where are you at?
Yeah, it's basically the same spot I was before. I introduced what would be a great bill for Oklahoma a couple years back. I can't remember now, 2 or 3 years ago. We did a lot of research. We met with University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, the Thunder. We researched what they do in sportsbook in every other state that has it. So there's probably 40 other states that have sportsbook. We're not having to reinvent the wheel here. This is there's a market for this. And so I think we had a commercial license. So the way it worked was we said, hey, any single person, business wants to set up a commercial sportsbook license in the state of Oklahoma can do that. They can open one up. Here's the fee, here's the cost, go do it. Doesn't matter if a tribe wants to do it or the Thunder wants to do it or you want to do it. Anybody can do that. And then at the tribe, what we said was that in the casinos, we would give them a sports book in the brick and mortar in their actual facility, like geofence that facility where they could have their sports book. But the statewide sports book would be just a free market, right? It would be open to anybody to bid on it. That way it's transparent, it's accountable, and that way we can maximize the revenue to the state of Oklahoma. Some of the bills that you're seeing come through, which I'm not supportive, and I would absolutely veto any of the bills that hit my desk, that are exclusively given a monopoly to the tribes that's not transparent, that's not a fair deal. Not everybody can do it. And that's unfortunately, what happens here is they hire lobbyists, and these are foreign, they're sovereign nations, or they're a separate government that they're coming in hiring lobbyists to come say what's good for their nation and not what's good for the taxpayers of Oklahoma. And so I'm always going to stand for what's good for the taxpayers of Oklahoma. And I think we need more of a free market, accountable system. And again, they're big businesses. They can sign up and they can do the exact same thing that the Thunder or somebody else can. But I don't want to give a monopoly exclusively to the tribes at a very reduced number. That's not market compared to what I see in other states.
I have another question for you, Bob. Go ahead, sorry.
Hi, so right now the state auditor is giving a briefing on the audit on Tulsa Public Schools. I'm curious if you've been informed of those findings yet, if you have any thoughts on what's come of it.
I'm looking forward to her comments. The audit was ready to go a couple of weeks ago. I called for this audit of Tulsa Public Schools several years back. And it finally is ready to come out. And then I think there was some kind of delay tactic, I believe, from Tulsa Public Schools, keeping it quiet for another 2 weeks or something. But I guess that's run its course now. So looking forward to that. I think you're going to find some gross mismanagement, something I thought was happening 2 years ago. I just want to shine a spotlight on it. In any kind of state government that I think that there's mismanagement of funds, I want to shine a light on it and I want to expose it. So I'm excited that the auditor's getting that out today, and we'll see what those findings are, and then let's fix them. Obviously, we made some moves, and we removed the superintendent of Tulsa Public Schools a couple years ago, and I think they've got a great lady there now. I've met with her a few times, and I'm anxious. So this is really not on her watch. This is a couple-year-old data, and that's what's unfortunate is the old superintendent is long gone, and will never probably be held accountable for failing those kids and not getting those dollars on target. If you remember, Tulsa Public Schools was also the one that I criticized pretty heavily because they shut down for 350 days during COVID. The kids that needed it the most were the ones that were shut out of school, and it was really, really disappointing. But we've got a good lady there now, and I think. Anxious to see what that audit says.
Tomorrow, the Board of Education, State Board of Education meets, and I'm curious, those new board members that you appointed will be there, according to the Senate. But just want to ask you your thoughts going into that, and also this week, State Superintendent Brian Walters asked for the Attorney General to give an opinion on Trump's executive order regarding immigration status. That was something we talked about inside here 2 weeks ago. So curious where you're at now with the new request and the board members.
Yeah, I mean, look, what the superintendent asked the Attorney General to do. I think the Attorney General has already announced running for governor, and the superintendent may be running for governor. And I think it's a fair question. Where does he stand on this issue? The superintendent wants to have, kids' information and immigration status. And I said, listen, that's not the right thing to do. We're not going to pick on kids. I'd love to know where the Attorney General stands on that. I think he should let his opinion be known on that. So it's kind of interesting to see the superintendent asking for that clarity. As far as the board's concerned, we want the board to just get in there and focus on outcomes and let's get the focus back on our teachers, our schools, improving education. Where are kids behind? I really think that part of it is school days. And I talked about this in my State of the State address, the virtual days. There's zero incentive for a superintendent or a school district or a principal not to cancel school and call it a virtual day because it still counts towards their total, right? We need to get rid of that. And I think I was just with the Rhode Island governor, and I was with the Massachusetts governor, and I was with all the governors around the country. And did you know their school days are required to be 180 days a year? And we're like 165. And then we count virtual days as part of that 165. And we count every teacher conference and all that as part of that 165. So the kids are actually only in school maybe 150 days a year. And that's the difference between our state and other states. We might only be a month or two behind on the NAEP scores. And it comes back to just instructional time in the classroom with our wonderful teachers. And so I am really pushing the legislature. Let's go back to 180 days. Let's get rid of virtual days. We build in snow days. If we need to cancel school because of snow, that's fine. You got 5 days built up, but let's not count those days towards your instructional days. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I would push our new board members to keep pushing towards and keep focusing on the kids. Yes, sir.
There's a bill that's making some progress in the Senate that would reduce eliminate tax brackets and just adopt a 6.75% flat tax. But at the same time, double the standard deduction. Wondered if you have any thoughts about that bill.
You said 6. You mean 4.75?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you're saying it would take away the brackets? It would just be a flat tax, and it would just start at a certain level? Okay. That's something that's been kicked around for a few years, and I'm not opposed to that. Basically, people on the lower income, we've got a pretty low bracket start anyway. But eliminating those lower brackets, I think, is great. So in other words, anybody making under $30,000 a year, or wherever they set that limit, the married couple, $30,000 pays 0, and then everybody at that next level pays the same amount. It's a flat tax situation. I think that's fine because now it's I think at 18,000, everybody kicks in at 4.75 now. But I think the bigger picture on taxes is we compete with other states, right? We all want more education dollars. We want more infrastructure dollars and healthcare dollars. If we don't have an economy, if we don't have business moving here, if we don't have income being generated by our businesses, we don't have tax revenue. If we don't have a focus on being the most business-friendly state, the reason we're in this grid situation is because we have been doing that. And I just like to remind people, we have a $4.6 billion savings account. We have put more money in education in my first 6 years than they did for like 30 years before I got here because we are business friendly. And I don't want to lose that momentum. And so when I see Arkansas going to 3.9%, and I see Iowa lowering their taxes, and I see Nebraska, I see Colorado already lower than us, I see Texas at 0. And that's my warning to all of us in this building as leaders is if we don't just do a quarter now or a half now or step into it as we have excess revenue, we're going to get left behind and we won't be the business friendly state that we are today. And so that's my message to the leadership and to the House and Senate is let's get that done this year. We can absolutely afford it. And I'm never talking about cutting core services. I'm just talking about limiting the growth of government.
Governor?
Yes, sir.
This is regarding the tax commission data. I saw you tweeted about this, I think, yesterday.
My bad. This is the tax commission data. So we found out basically a quarter of all private school tax credits going to families making more than $225,000 a year. I guess I just want to get your response to that when it comes to the private school tax credits. A quarter going to families over 225,000.
Yeah, I think what I tweeted out is that was the wrong way to say it. 79% went to working families is kind of how I said it. But it's working like we wanted it. I mean, the fact is we've got people using it. We've got just today, somebody came up to me and just said, "Thank you, Governor, for making it possible for my kids." It was down there. It was from Moore, Oklahoma. I spoke to the Moore group, and a guy came up to me and said, "Thank you for allowing my children, my 3 kids, to go to a better school. We're in a different neighborhood, and we think it's a better opportunity for our kids." So I love that. I don't care if you're rich or you're poor. It was really important that everybody gets it. Now we tweaked it so it's $7,500 for under 75,000, I believe is the number, and then everybody gets up to 5,000 regardless of your income. And remember, all those people are paying property taxes. They're paying into the system as well. And you also remember we had this debate, during the school choice conversation. This is not affecting our education budget, right? This was a whole separate bucket of money. Okay, it's $250 million. We're spending $12 billion in our school system over here. If you have a kid that leaves this school system and goes over here, your per pupil funding actually goes up in your school system. Okay, they don't lose any money at the school system here. But they are losing the student because the student's coming over here to this other bucket of money. So I think that's really important for all of us in the state. We're not abandoning our education system. We're just injecting competition into that with charter schools, with more specialty schools, like we talk about these apprenticeships and internships, charter schools, private schools, Catholic schools, and of course our great public schools as well.
Going back to the Tinker Air Force rumors, if they do in fact turn out to be true, what's the fallout of laying off hundreds of Oklahomans so quickly?
Again, obviously, we're going to do everything we can to help those families get new jobs. We have there's our safety net system in our state with unemployment that helps people get back on their feet. There's retraining. But I'm assuming they've got skill sets that can be deployed in other aviation and aerospace, or depending on their jobs, whether it's engineering or aerospace or whatever the job is. But that's what happens occasionally in business, and that is okay. That's a free market system that if this job is not needed, you have to reinvent yourself. So beyond that, I don't know what to say besides the state has some safety net systems that's going to help people. And, in the federal government, but right now we're just speculating because those are all rumors, and we've followed up with the federal government. We're very fortunate to have Tinker here with 30,000 jobs. It's a huge part of our economy here in Oklahoma. And, the rumor I heard was 600 jobs, something like that, which we don't even know if that's true. But you'll be the first to know as soon as we find out. And we'll set up job fairs, and we'll do everything we can to help those folks. There's companies looking for employees. They'll come in. They'll be able to meet new employers. And I've had to switch jobs before, and those things occasionally happen. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.